to Crossover Event! I am Chris Cox, and joining me are my co-hosts,
Martin Thomas.
And Danni Danger.
You know, we do a lot of different types of themed shows, and this week we're going a little deep dive geekdom because we're not just reporting on like general lists or things. We actually had to make these guys do homework this week. Sorry about that.
I'll never forgive you for this.
He's like, but.
I love homework. I'm a total Hermione Granger.
I'm not busy enough. Now I got homework.
It's like, ooh, more work, hooray. So our theme was basically, look, there are so many comic books out there that have not been adapted yet. A lot of which have been optioned, but not actually adapted yet, or at the very least are in development hell. And we have our fantasies because we're all big comic book nerds here. Of the fantasy, what would you like to see? What books have you always gone, man, if that was a movie/TV show, how would I do it? Yeah, you've been on the internet. You know how it is. They do that. So keep in mind, this is not us getting information from anywhere. This is just pure fantasy from experienced comic book and movie and TV nerds about what we think would actually be, you know, dream-wise, the best thing.
Unless we have such stellar ideas that Hollywood decides, you know what? That would be good. I want to make that movie.
And you don't...
In which case, you can pay us.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, they don't.
You can pay us for
they
our
don't pay.
ideas.
Yeah.
The creators don't get paid.
What?
Remember when Martin was like, hey, they'll never make an Avengers movie? He's like, did you see that thing where that guy said they'll never make an Avengers movie? I think he was asking us to make an Avengers movie.
You should thank me
Yeah,
because
do.
I said that.
It's amazing.
They
We
took
never
up the
would-
challenge.
They did.
They weren't even thinking about doing it until I said something.
But we each picked 2 books to take a look at and say, like, hey, this is how we would do it if we had our druthers. Does anyone say that anymore?
I do.
Druthers? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
We're
I
on
say.
the-
Nerds say it.
We're druther brothers. It works. Anyway, we're going to get started off here with telling you we brought notes because there's a lot of information to absorb here. There's no way we can memorize it. We are not a human IMDb, so I'm not going to be ashamed at the unprofessionalism of saying there are notes. But I'm going to start off this one with, I think, one of the best horror comics to come down the line in quite some time. And it's funny, people don't talk about horror comics the way they used to. There was a brief period where they were very, very big. And it feels like they've kind of, fallen a little bit to the side.
Have they?
I think since...
No, there's so much good content out there.
So much good content, but I think it's since the rise of cinematic superheroes has become so big, everyone just wants to do superhero stuff right now. So horror is sort of like, at least as far as the comic world, is sort of like, we're quietly simmering in the background. Although weirdly, there are a lot of things, you watch TV shows, you're like, that's actually an adaptation of a horror comic. They didn't even bother to tell you. But there's this book called Nailbiter by Joshua Williamson and Mike Henderson from Image Comics that is just such a cool idea. Imagine, if you will, a small town that has the unique distinction of having the most amount of serial killers from it of any town in America. Why? Well, that is kind of the question. Why? And one of the most infamous of them was called Nailbiter, a killer who chewed the nails of his victims, who's just horrible, bloody serial killer, albeit a rather charismatic one. But he got off on a technicality and still lives in the town, but, is claiming to anyone who's like, I know it was you, he's like, well, I'm retired.
So he doesn't even say, like, it really wasn't me.
Like,
What's retiring?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe the Zodiac Killer ran for Congress. I don't know.
I think you're giving way too much credit to Ted Cruz.
So the town's called Buckaroo, and the killers were called the Buckaroo Butchers. Basically, there's a FBI agent who's gone there investigating a case named Charles Carroll, and he has gone missing. So his buddy, Nicholas Finch, has decided that I'm going to go into this town, even though it's like not really what I'm supposed to be doing, and find out what happened to my buddy / mentor who disappeared in this town. And it starts with kind of like, okay, this guy's trying to kill himself right before he gets like a phone call. Like, what is that all about?
Okay.
That's going to be a dark thing that plays into it. So he ends up getting in the town, and it really turns into, as you might imagine, it's not as simple as just, well, it's just statistically odd, but it's got to happen somewhere. There's many serial killers. No, there's like underground tunnels with like cult stuff. And weirdly, although there's a couple different characters who come into this who like sort of assist him along the way, one of the people who's assisting them is Nailbiter himself,
Sure.
the killer.
Hey, he's retired. He might as well do something with his time.
Sure. He's like,
I mean, if you retire too early, then you just sit around and die.
Yeah,
you got to be active. You need something to keep your brain going.
He's kind of a Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, but not in jail. He's like there. Everyone's like, he's got to still be killing.
This sounds
right?
like the Hannibal Lecter from the TV series.
Yeah, more like the Hannibal Lecter from the TV series. So anyway, my first thought exactly that was, who would you get to showrun? Because I think very much this is TV show, not movie. Who would showrun something like this? And I said, well, Brian Fuller. Because if you've watched his show Hannibal, it's kind of a masterpiece. I mean, it's haunting, and one of the most disturbing things that network television I'm sorry, let me take that back. The most disturbing thing that has ever been on network television. It is gorier than anything I've ever seen on HBO
it is that.
or AMC, and more deeply disturbing. They keep saying, everyone involved keeps saying, we'll come back and do an ending, we want to, but nobody's giving them the money. Whatever. It's still worth watching the 3 seasons that are out there. But he is the no-brainer for me. Like, this should be arty but dark. It's an ensemble cast, a lot of characters. And when I looked at the main character, who was the FBI agent coming looking for his friend, I was Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that ambience of a guy who's very capable physically, very smart, but also has a sadness inside.
Well, he also already did that with True Detective season 3, so he's proven that he can handle this role.
Absolutely. And then there's a town sheriff who sort of like proves herself very early that, you know, she's kind of a badass in her own right, but she has her own ties to the town. She's been living there for a while, and she's herself kind of a physical badass. I was like, Charlize Theron, come on.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's like, I mean,
right. Shoot for the fences.
I know. You know what? Like, this is my fantasy.
I know. Budget is no constraint.
Yeah, budget is nobody's like, no, come on, man, you got to bring it down here. I'm not watching CW shows and looking for potentials here, is all I'm saying. But for Nailbiter himself, this is my one I was most proud of. I was like, who would you get? God, he's such a strange character. And I went, oh, you know, Michael Emerson from Lost and Evil.
Oh, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Which character was he in Lost?
He was
Benjamin Linus.
Benjamin Linus.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Super creepy.
Yeah.
Obviously, he just radiates intelligence, but also menace. And you're like, he has this sort of softly simmering menace, like a guy who could really hurt you if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's a very nice person, but I would not want to be on an elevator alone with him.
And all reports, he is actually super sweet.
I'm sure.
Like everybody who ever plays villains, they're always the nicest people. Tell us about Tony
Kevin
Todd.
Spacey.
Not Kevin Spacey. Not Kevin Spacey.
And he was the best at playing villains.
The missing FBI friend of Finch, who he's there looking for, who does eventually pop back up in the story, was Nick Offerman.
Okay.
You know, he's like sort of older, heavy-set, bearded guy. I was like, I like that. The guy's like, he's very affable and likable, kind of bigger than life, but when he finds him, he's kind of gone crazy. You're like, I could see Offerman having, like, relishing a chance to, like, play off a role like that. There's an FBI agent who joins the team, a female FBI agent. I was Linda Cardellini, because she doesn't get enough work, quite frankly, and she's awesome.
Doesn't she? She got 2 series going.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, like, it's background characters.
Not in what's the...
Well, she doesn't have series that I'm watching, I guess.
Oh, so. You should. Why am I blanking on it? The one with her and...
You don't know?
No, I know exactly. I just... her and Christina Applegate. It's on Netflix.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
And that show's amazing.
Is it? I have not watched that, but I know what you're talking about. I'm just not well enough to...
It's something with death in the title.
And then there's a town girl who's kind of a badass, a little bit of a goth punk, who's kind of creepy, and I was like, Sophie Thatcher, who we just saw recently. A lot of people know better probably from the new Star Wars Boba Fett series, where she was like the head punk rock girl of the Desperators.
Yeah.
But I know her from the show Yellow Jackets, where she was also playing kind of a punk rock girl, and she's much better in that show. But yeah, I think this could actually be one of those things. I could see this being a long-running thing, because it's so many characters and it's slowly building, and it's got the conspiracy and cult and dreams and horrible murders and lots of different serial killers pop up, and it sounds like my bag. What about you?
So I didn't do 2. I did 1.
Oh boy!
But it's very big. It's big. Let me just consult.
Check the notes.
My notes.
You didn't see this part.
I am absolutely bonkers wild about Justice League Dark. I love everything about Justice League's like metaphysical sort of dark universe, and it's something that they don't play with enough. They don't give enough love and attention. That animated movie was not good. and I will flip a table over it. There has been some talks that there is a Zatanna movie possibly in the works from the writer and creator of Promising Young Woman, which I absolutely love.
So good. Go see it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that happen. I think that Zatanna is one of my favorite characters, and she's really underutilized. So here, this also kind of includes my casting for a Zatanna character. I think that Sam Raimi would actually do a really great job with this. I think that
you're right.
he does magic and mystical and
Action.
busy and action and funny all at the same time really well. And I think that Multiverse of Madness is absolutely going to just put the...
Be all the things.
Yeah, just whipped cream on top of all of that. So for Johnny Constantine,
Johnny.
Johnny Constantine.
She's like the guys that go Bobby De Niro.
I know. Okay, so for John Constantine, excuse
My buddy
me.
Bobby De
No,
Niro.
you guys are friends. You're on a first
We're
name basis.
besties.
Yeah.
For John Constantine, I really like Regé Jean Page from Bridgerton.
Okay.
He's just got
See
this
the lead
like...
guy that we see?
Yes.
The one that's a dreamboaty?
Yes,
Yeah.
but he's also got this like, screw you, I don't care, I know I'm very smart and I know a lot of things, but I don't care. Like, this devil may care sort of attitude that I think really
I tend to
works
see
for
John Constantine as more seedy, but I can see this working.
I think if you rub a little dirt on him, he could do seedy very well, actually. For once, I didn't mean that in a dirty way.
He's like a Chia actor.
I mean, John Constantine is kind of a degenerate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Honestly, that's one of my favorite things about his character from Bridgerton is he's like, he very much has this like moneyed, wealthy background, but kind of this, I want to be a degenerate personality. Like, I don't want to get married. I don't want to do this. I don't want to live this life. I'm doing what I have to, and let's be shady about this.
And I burn for you. I burn for you.
Yeah. I would really like to see him get outside of that role a little bit and play in that like
He probably would, too.
grimy space. Yeah.
If only Kirsten Dunst was still young enough to play Astra. Oh well.
Well, I don't have Astra on the list.
Right.
Of course, I have Zatanna, who Ana de Armas from Knives Out.
My heart.
I think would be an incredible Zatanna.
I mean, seriously, my heart.
Every time you bring her up.
She's amazing, super talented, obviously really does action and funny well together. I would really like to see this Zatanna kind of working a little bit more in the sort of the burlesque stage performer aspect. I would love to see her as like a magic show feature in like a Boulet Brothers drag contest kind of thing. Like we have this show about like she like that's sort of her crowd, her feel.
And the
Do
idea
you
was
have one of those machines where you look into people's heads? Because I feel like you've just been pulling out my daydream.
I have thought a lot about this particular corner of the DC universe for literally years.
Zatanna's gig has always been much like her father, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Was that she poses as an illusionist magician.
Yeah.
That's kind of her whole thing. Yay, I'm a magician, I get the top hat and the bunnies and all that. But the truth is she's actually an incredibly powerful.
Absolutely.
That's
And when you're thinking about like her story, her, you know, who now actually hires illusionists? Where are you actually going to go see an illusionist? Okay, like at a drag show, at a burlesque show, at like a nightclub, nightlife sort of touring gig. And I really love that scenery and that setup for her.
You just made this very interesting.
Yeah, and also
I'm going to go to more burlesque shows with applications.
Absolutely. Also, I'm like obsessed with the Boulet Brothers, and they're super geeky and into comic books, so I think that would just be a really nice little Easter egg.
Don't they have a show on Shudder?
They have an amazing show on Shudder. The 4th season just wrapped. I'm eagerly awaiting the 5th season, and I cannot wait for Shudder to get seasons 1 through 3. It's my life, and I'm obsessed with it. Anyway, I digress.
That's all right.
Hair flip.
We
but
digress.
I don't have enough hair to flip. Okay. Dead Man, and somebody's going to want to fight me on this, but I think it's perfect, should be played by Zac Efron.
Okay.
I like Zac Efron.
I love him.
I just watched his new movie Gold right before
I heard it was
coming over
pretty
here.
good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
He's so funny. I think that he absolutely could really get into like do all of the work for being a he's not a I keep wanting to say gymnast.
Acrobat.
Acrobat. Thank you. I think he could absolutely learn some of the acrobatics. I think he would absolutely hit the zingers. I think he could be equal parts irritating to everybody on the team, but also like really funny to the audience and serious when he needs to be.
I only interject this. Considering that Boston Brand has a thick Boston accent, wouldn't you want to go with Marky Mark?
Well, I mean,
Mark Wahlberg seemed like...
To be fair, you don't actually see him for most of the thing, right? Because he possesses
he's possessing other people.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I can pull it off. I'm not such a huge Mark Wahlberg fan, but it's fine. It's fine. For the Phantom Stranger, I was really thinking Dev Patel. I think he's got like sort of this. He does dark really well. I also think
it's a swing for sure, but I can see it, especially now that he's starting to get a little gray. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah. So that was that just felt good for me. I'm so excited about this one, you guys. Like, this will live in my headcanon forever. Okay, so for Etrigan, Liam.
Arise, Etrigan.
I have terrible handwriting. No, Liam Cunningham, who played Davros in Game of Thrones.
Oh, he'd be perfect.
Right, his face shape, his like, and like the human to demon transformation.
Sure.
His voice.
No. That's really good. In my head, it was Jack Black, but this is much better.
That's a very different take than what she was coming from.
I mean,
I see that too.
Yeah. I actually love the idea of Jack Black doing more dramatic roles. That's cool. But then not to lean too heavily into Game of Thrones casting, but for Swamp Thing, I actually thought that Rory McCain, who played the Hound, would do a really great Swamp Thing.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, especially the voice and
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got the height and the bulk for it.
Absolutely, which was my big thing too. Because we always want to like choose someone who's going to have a least miserable time putting all of that makeup on, and not having to add like 8 feet to the dude would probably save some time and energy.
And he's got to both be capable of being absolutely terrifying and also sort of feel like sweet and all too human.
Yes.
You know, because the Swamp Thing, when he's not busy scaring the living shit out of people, he's
a very gentle guy.
Totally gentle,
Excuse
sweet
me, Yarp.
Yarp. Yarp.
Yarp. He's so great.
Watch Hot Fuzz if you didn't realize he was in that.
It's so
he
good.
is.
I would love for this story to feature a little, just like a little moment with the Spectre, who, of course, I feel like should be played by Oded Fair.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, who's absolutely amazing, and I just love him. Love everything he does. I would love to see also a setup for a second movie in the introduction of Clarion the Witch Boy, who would be a new face. I have not cast that person. I thought about the kids from Stranger Things, but they're all doing like really weird problematic stuff.
Are they? I don't even know. I hadn't heard that. They're also growing up really fast.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, this would probably be like, I love the idea of a live action Clarion the Witch Boy.
Could be Clarion the Witch Girl.
Much. Yeah, just like Clarion the Witch Child.
There's something about the name Witch Boy that is like, oh, okay, I gotta check this out.
That's true.
I do think that like getting into the sort of background of this child who was like ostracized during the like pilgrim time. I don't know. Yes, everything about that character needs to come to screen. I think that DC needs their own sort of like harbinger of chaos. The magic that Loki has brought to the Marvel Universe, I think, could possibly belong to Clarion in the DC Universe.
Of course, then you've got the problem of a person trapped in the body of a kid who will not be a kid for very long because of, life and growing up.
Absolutely. Which is why in the second movie he would have to be defeated. Like, it would just have to happen. I'm sorry, buddy.
Sorry, Clarion. You can come back as Clarion the Witch Teenager.
Yes. Love it for you. And then, of course, we have to have a villain. And to me, the most... the most I sort of like prolific magic evil user in the DC universe for me is Felix Faust.
Yeah.
Who of course would be played wonderfully by Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh yeah.
Who, I mean, I feel like that's kind of a cheap shot because he's great at everything.
And he did that in Doctor Strange.
He did kind of. I always like him as sort of characters that are good but creep you the hell out.
Yeah. Yeah, so that one is a little up in the air. I'm not married to that one actor. I feel like that was a little bit of an easy grab, but again, like
I'll tell Warner Brothers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Although he's going to be heartbroken because I'm sure he was.
Here's my
Counting on
PayPal account. You can you'll find my PayPal account below in the description. I will take money. I'm very, very poor and hungry.
At Odette Fod or whatever.
Fair.
No. Give him my phone number.
Fair enough.
Just so we're clear.
Martin, what do you got for us?
So I didn't go as in depth as you guys. I am a weird animal. I am truly in the minority in that I am someone who will read a comic book or play a video game and never have that feeling of like, gee, I really want to see this as a movie. I'm so like, hey, the medium I'm experiencing this in is perfect and that's okay by me. So I don't have so much of that, oh, I want to take this comic and turn...
screw this whole show, I'm out of here.
No. However, there have been adaptations of comics where I went, no, you can do better than that. This should not be. And one that will surprise no one is Green Lantern. If you're gonna do it, you do it right. And what we got in the movie
was not right.
Was wrong on just about every level. And I could totally see the idea behind casting Ryan Reynolds. They did everything to sabotage it, so it could not work. So my idea would be to do a Green Lantern, either a movie, more than likely though, one of those 8-episode series. And it would be more of like, not even dealing with Green Lantern as a superhero on Earth. This is all really, it would be about space cops. I'd probably even call it Mystery in Space, where we can work in the Thanagarians.
Not just space cops?
No. No. You work in the Thanagarians and even Adam Strange. And I'd love to open it with where the movie would be about mostly Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, where it's not a training day thing. It's not his first day, but he's still fairly new and Hal's taking him around. And they might start at Zinla with the wedding of Adam Strange and Alana. And right before it comes to the I do's, the Zeta Beam zaps him away. And it's one of these like, oh, come on. And Hal's like, yeah, this happens every time. I'm not even surprised by this.
So are you thinking of it sort of like a mix-matched buddy cop in space thing?
I am, but not between the two of them. It would start with them. But between the Thanagarians, they're almost like that contentious relationship between the cops and the FBI. And eventually Jon Stewart would be forced to pair up with some young Thanagarian police officer.
Yeah. It's cool. It's fine.
Yeah. Who's brash, and even though he's like, look, I'm somewhat new to this.
But not that new.
But not that new, and you don't know anything. And it would never lead back to a corruption in the Guardians or the Thanagarians. It'd be some bigger thing they got to deal with, maybe something that's leading to a war on Earth. But to just really show what the day-to-day grind of these space cop jobs are. And I had trouble putting it together. I kind of knew, and it wasn't until I was outside where it's like, I know, because trying to figure out a director or a showrunner, back and forth. I'm like, I love the way Ridley Scott handles space and sci-fi, but so much with the stories, not so much. And then it hit me. I was like, Graham Yost, who does Justified, that would be the guy to handle this, to give it that sort of humor but seriousness. And then once I said that, well then it's like, well then Hal Jordan would clearly be Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, somebody got Timothy Oliphant. I'm happy now.
Yeah, and you know,
it's warm in here.
I don't know. Can Timothy Oliphant play
so
cops? Has he done that
Has
before?
Has he ever played a cop before? Wait, can Green Lantern have a power ring cowboy hat?
Cowboy hat, right? but if it's him and I was looking for an actor for Jon Stewart, and I was like, I got
Jon Stewart.
No. Had somebody in mind and couldn't, and then right before I came in here, it's like Trevante Rhodes. That's who I'm looking for.
Damn it, you guys keep stealing some like ask for my next one, but that's
fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, no.
But you're right. He even looks like him.
He looks like him, and he's the kind of guy where it's like, why this guy should be in a lot more stuff because he's big, he's got good stature, he's handsome, but he's also a really good actor and can be funny when he needs to be. And Guy Gardner would be Jason Statham, and he wouldn't even be in it for long. Just enough to be like, oh, this guy.
Oh, jeez, not him again.
Yeah.
What's the other one? The artist one?
The artist?
No, the Green Lantern is an artist who uses sort of art.
Oh,
things.
Kyle Rayner?
Kyle Rayner, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about Kyle Rayner.
Somebody give this poor kid a redemption arc.
Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, that's not giving him a redemption arc.
Well, I mean, it's Kyle Rayner. Come on, he's kind of like a
Just so you know,
delicate.
I really like Kyle Rayner. Like when they replaced Hal with Kyle, at first it was like, oh, what are they doing? But after a while, he was in it for so long, it's like, this is my Green Lantern now. And then when they announced like, hey, we're bringing Hal back, I was like, you bastards, no. you had something good going here. Don't do this. Anyway, there's a bunch of the story beats that I kind of have in my head about what they have to go through and the dirtiness of the job and why, Hal has a reason to like, oh, I got to go back to Earth. Well, good luck with this. Haven't been back in a while. Gonna enjoy it. But and it all comes back around because everybody wants them to be on Earth. I get it. Ultimately, I want that too. But that's not a thing to happen until the last couple of episodes.
Right. Yeah. Or it wraps up. The final fight is on Earth, and then everyone's like, "Wait a minute, who are these guys?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's with the whole green thing?
So here's my question. Who plays Kilowog? Who voices Kilowog? Because you have a lot more.
I wish Michael Clark Duncan was still alive. Is all I can say.
I gotta say, ever since the animated series, it's only Brad Garrett for me.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but I agree.
Okay.
Good choice.
Yeah, because Kilowog's gonna be all CG no matter what.
Yes, exactly. So you have a lot more freedom to choose an actor.
Yeah, just watched Brad Garrett in a movie recently and was like, God, he is really good. And doesn't get enough of a break. I think he's one of those actors who unfortunately got a little into the whole, well, you're a sitcom guy. But if Ray Romano can break out of that, Brad Garrett damn well can.
Sure. What, did you see his Jimmy John's commercials from 2 Super Bowls ago?
No.
No, you gotta watch those. No, seriously.
I just don't watch the Super Bowl, so sorry. I know nothing against sports.
No. I didn't watch the Super Bowl either, but I watched some of the commercials online before the Super Bowl, and they play it like Goodfellas. It's amazing.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah. Look up Brad Garrett, Jimmy John's Super Bowl commercials.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so this is another one to compete with her Justice League Dark, which is that, oh, geez, it took me like an hour of figuring out just the casting, and this is like 5% of the actual characters that take place in the comic book Astro City by Kurt Busiek and illustrated by Brent Anderson with Alex Ross doing the covers and the character designs. If you've never read Astro City, well, I'll tell you what, you've probably read Marvels, which I believe Busiek also did.
Yeah.
Marvels is him doing Astro City for the Marvel Universe,
That's true.
basically. But Astro City is a completely, independent comics thing, but it's a world that's like Marvel or DC, that superheroes have been around since like the 20s. They've been around for a long, long time. This book deals with, it goes back and forth in time. It's kind of really an anthology series.
Oh, yeah, very much so. With story arcs.
That with sometimes just a single issue, sometimes like 4 or 5 issues. It depends, but generally it goes back and forth in time. And they're all, even though everything in it will have, there'll be an overarching plot to things within one given arc. It is really character based.
Yeah.
And so I kept thinking, well, who does superheroes, but really focusing on the subtext and the characters amidst all the chaos. And I went to Damon Lindelof because of the job he did on Watchmen, the TV series, where he completely redeemed that as visual entertainment. It's like, oh, you can do Watchmen, you just have to not do the original book. Astro City is neat in the way that as a long-running TV show, you could in fact do that. It does have a gigantic cast because there's so many heroes, different people who take over the role of heroes over time even. In fact, a lot of the stories focus on those transfer points of like when somebody either died and a new person took over, or somebody else chose to retire and handed off the torch. Tends to be a reoccurring theme inside of this, but there's just so much humanity in these stories, but yet more than enough surprises that go on. I'm particularly fond of the second volume in the series that follows the creepiest character in the whole thing, the Confessor.
Oh, yeah.
Black draped guy with a big cross, and he's like a religious sort of themed hero. Like he even hangs out in he's got a secret room in a church that's his lair. But he's been around since the 50s.
And his sidekick is Altar Boy.
Altar Boy, which is a terrible name, right?
That did not age well.
But it kind of follows the story of like a new Altar Boy being chosen, and like him coming into it and getting to know him and starting to realize something's up with this guy. Because I thought he was just kind of a Batman type, but this dude can do some shit. And trying to solve the mystery of what is going on with him. And Confessor is super creepy, but ultimately, I mean, he is a good guy, but he does have one hell of a dark secret.
Yeah.
I love that. That alone could be a giant arc for the show.
It could.
And I was actually thinking for the Confessor, saying Mads Mikkelsen was my one for that because he's so perfect at that. This guy, he's very, very serious. He's very intense. He's driven. I mean, if he was younger, he could be, and didn't have the accent, he could be Batman, for God's sakes. Sure. But he does have a really dark side. That's perfect for him. And then for Alter Boy, the young person joining, I was like, well, Tom Holland. Again, it's my fantasy. But he even looks like the kid in the comic book. But a lot of the book focuses around sort of the two biggest groups, which is the First Family, which are like a Fantastic Four type group, but then the Honor Guard are the really big one, and the head of the he's not the leader of the Honor Guard. That's this guy named Black Rapier. They don't do as much with because he's always got his mask on. But Samaritan is the Superman analog. Yeah. And just like he's got a job like as like a reporter, although I think he's just like the editor. Like they send him the stories and he fixes them. But and he's kind of a big nerd in that role. But and he's a really, really genuinely likable character. He's not quite Superman, but there's so many things in common with him. And Busiek explores the stories that he would have liked to done with Superman, that DC would never let you do with Superman. And I was like, you know what? Let's just let John Hamm finally be Superman here. Can we please let John Hamm finally have his chance at being Superman? That's as close as he's going to get. Does he want to be Superman? He has said before that he would.
I want him to be
everybody has wanted that.
A Superman-esque
If they ever do Kingdom Come, come on.
Yeah.
It's got to be John Hamm, right? It's got to be. There's a really obnoxious sort of swashbuckler guy named Cracker Jack who's like, everybody kind of hates him, but he is pretty good at what he does. And he is inarguably a good guy, and that's Chris Pine. You just give him a pencil-thin mustache and the attitude, and I'm like, that's no question. There's a guy who's sort of a Captain Marvel analog called the Gentleman, except he doesn't even have a super suit. He just dresses in a suit, and he's like very formal, but he's really sweet. Everybody loves him. They're just a little scared of him because of how powerful he is, and that's Sean Bean for me. The Hanged Man is the coolest character in the whole series, but you never see his face. So he's this ghostly apparition of a dude who's got a noose around his neck hanging and a burlap sack over his face that no one's even sure if he's actually conscious or not. But it is revealed as it went on. He is, and he's been around since possibly the Middle Ages. Super cool character. MPH, miles per hour, is an African-American speedster with a lot of weaponry who is Trevante Rhodes. Okay. I was like, that's totally him. A lot of people's favorite character is Jack in the Box. I don't really know who you would say he was an analog of. He dresses like a clown, and he doesn't have special powers. It's all weaponry and agility, but he's one of the most fun, interesting characters in the whole book. And it follows closely sort of his run and the different people who've taken on the part and why. And there's a neat run where people from the future who claim to be his sons show up to kill him because he abandoned them by dying too early. And just at this moment after he's fighting them, these superpowered sort of versions of his son who also have a clown theme, he goes home and his wife's like, I'm pregnant. Oh God, no. There's a Wonder Woman analog called Winged Victory. She's Greco-Roman themed flying. I said Blake Lively. She has her whole thing is that she saves women before men no matter what the situation is. And she actually has a real philosophy behind this. And there's a great issue where sort of everyone else forces her and the Samaritan to go out on a date because they're the two people who just never stop working. They're just constantly like, no matter what it is, they're go off and do the thing. And they just have this great philosophical discussion about it. It's really fascinating. I was like, that's an episode right there. Sure. I would love to watch that. There's just so many damn characters in this thing. It's really hard to say everyone. But one of the big villains in this is the Conquistador, who's an armored villain who hires other villains to work for him in this giant scheme that it kind of turns out is, he's not really a villain. He's a disgraced superhero. And he wants to get back in good graces, and his strategy to do that is set up just this giant horrible thing to happen to the city, and then he shows up out of nowhere, out of disgrace, and saves everyone. But he played a character called El Hombre, was his original character. He's a Mexican-American character. I was like, oh, Gael Garcia Bernal. Oh, okay. I'd love to see him play sort of a cool character like that anyway. But if you've never read Astro City, there's a lot of it. But you can kind of pick it up anywhere. Like I said, it's an anthology. You pick up any given trade and be like, okay, I get it. And especially if you've read other DC and Marvel comics, you get the idea that everyone is to some degree or another an analog of a familiar type character. But really it's just stories about these the humanity within these people. And I would love to see that happen. HBO, get on it. But Martin, you had another one?
Oh, my only one was, and I didn't develop it even as much as the Green Lantern one, but Shang-Chi was fun, but that was not the Shang-Chi that I grew up with and wanted to see.
Oh.
And with the comics I loved, I not only was in love with these comics, but then once they went out of print, they couldn't reprint them for years because Marvel didn't own the rights to Fu Manchu, the main villain. And they were like, well, just change the name. So they're like, nah, not doing it. So finally, we got a Shang-Chi movie, and everybody's happy. And hey, it's a fun movie. It's just not the one that I was wanting to see. And so I would make the one that I wanted to see, which would be more of a James Bond type of, the Shang-Chi from the 70s was the son of Fu Manchu, and he came from China to America to stop. Well, he was sent by his father to assassinate someone and decided, no, I won't. And he ends up joining MI6, going on missions to try to take down Fu Manchu, who's this international criminal. Now, of course, you can't use Fu Manchu, and so much of the iconography of the day was all very yellow peril and problematic, doesn't even fit the word. But it'd be easy enough to adjust it to a modern sensibility that wouldn't offend. And it'd be fun to throw in the, him working with MI6, a bunch of British spies, some who were just unapologetically colonialist or racist. But it set up an interesting tension. And there's so much that could be done with that. But I know
that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
But I think you could still take the character existing now.
You could.
And have him, especially now there's this thing, his sister's kind of running the
Yes.
dad's old agency,
Yes.
but it looks like they're probably not going to be the good guys per se.
Right.
And like you could see him getting involved where they're sort of antagonistic, but he's working for like S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever. Like, well,
Yeah.
we need you to go in there because you know her, and I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he was originally more or less based on Bruce Lee, who,
Yeah.
if you've never done your research into what happened when Bruce Lee hit American shores, it was insane. Like the mania for Chinese action films was is like talking about Batmania. You're just like, it was everywhere. Like every drive-in was playing any Shaw Brothers film they could get their hands on, because like everybody, all they want to see is, as they call, chopsaki films at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
And the character was very much based directly on, oh, we need a Bruce Lee character here. And I mean, if Bruce Lee had lived, this was actually kind of more or less what he wanted to do. He wanted to be sort of a Chinese American like spy, like James Bond type character. Anyway, that is it for this week's crossover event.
I have another one.
Oh, you said
want.
you had one.
I know, and I just thought of it too because we talked about it last week. But if we want to
We
start
could
back
save
over,
it for the bonus. We could save it for the bonus round if you want.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
We're going to save it for the bonus video, which you can watch at oneofus.net if you're a subscriber at the brown coat level or above. You can watch that whole bonus video there with us discussing Danny's other idea and a bunch more stuff that we're just shooting the shit about with other comics we'd like to see adapted. It could be fun. You should check it out. You should also make sure if you're watching this, it's on Screen Fanatic on YouTube. You should hit that like button. You should hit that subscribe button. And you should leave a comment and let us know what you think. Hell, let us know what your idea is for adaptation of a comic that you'd like to see. I'd love to
I want to hear some other ideas.
Somebody writes one that's really good, we'll read it out on the show. Guarantee it. And we will talk about it. So, do that. Be here next week. See you later.